If you haven't heard about the Tozuda helmet impact indicator, it's basically a personal shock watch that sprint car drivers are forced to wear on their helmets since the Sprint Car Control Council of Australia, or the SCCA, has made the device mandatory. In this video from 2022, I covered the topic with Mark Richards. Mark is not only the president of the Sprint Car Association of New South Wales, but also the National Executive Secretary of the SCCA, as well as a board member of Speedway Australia. Safety should be paramount in all sports, especially in a sport like sprint car racing, where drivers are prone to violent crashes and abrupt impacts. And as Mark explains, Speedway Australia, the sport's governing body, has had pressure added to them by their insurers to address concussion issues. Mark goes into a lot more detail in that video, but basically he says he took it upon himself to do some research, found the Tozuda device, presented it to Speedway Australia and their insurers, who all endorsed the product, and conducted a trial that resulted in 2 triggers of the device. At first, it seems like it could be an improvement for driver safety, but since the device is now compulsory, more drivers are starting to question not only the accuracy of the Tozuda device, but also the implementation process and legality when meeting helmet manufacturer and certifier standards. Having learned from previous experiences, high-profile supercars and sprint car driver Cam Waters chose to contact his helmet manufacturer before becoming one of the first drivers to speak out on the situation by writing this post. I had a chat to Cam about how he got to that point.
I can go back a fair way. So back in 2018, we were racing an Australian Grand Prix, and we had aftermarket air ducts and stuff on our helmets. And at that point, it was for like air or driver cooling, so we made our own. And we got there. And FIA pretty well said take that all off, or you can't race. And we asked questions why, and we went through the whole process of the helmets are homologated a certain way, and it may not affect its performance, but it is what it is. That's how it's sold to everyone, and how it's homologated and all that stuff. So we took it all off and went racing, and I guess I heard in the background that SCCA were trying to bring in a concussion device, and I knew they were trialing stuff, but I wasn't really across it. My focus is probably elsewhere. And then I got my license and got told I had to run this thing on my helmet, which at that point I thought that's pretty cool that the sport's trying to do things to make things better and safer, but I kind of thought, it's a big process to get things homologated and get the manufacturers on board. So I asked a few questions, and for the insurance and all these different other reasons, and they said, it's all cool. I asked, my helmet supplier, Revo's, a few other guys in Australia, and they all said, no, this isn't okay. So I went and asked for approval to not run it, because I knew my helmet manufacturer would say no, and that got rejected. So I went to Bell themselves and asked them what they thought, and I got this letter back from the CEO of Bell Global saying this thing is not to be run on your helmet. So I've since then sent that back to SCCA, and haven't heard anything back, so don't really know where that's at. Bit of a shame.
With Bell Helmets being one of, if not the most recognizable helmet manufacturers around the world, I was pretty impressed to see that Cam went straight to the top to find answers on the issue.
I've got contacts with them. They give me helmets for the supercar stuff, and we've got a really good relationship with them. So I thought there's no better person to ask about these things than the helmet manufacturer, and it's pretty clear from the letter what they think of it. Once I got that, I thought I'll send that on to them and see where they stand on it, and haven't really heard a lot back, except I have to run it. I've got no choice. So I don't really know where it sits right now, to be honest.
That letter's dated December 17th. It's now the 11th of January. You haven't heard anything back from the Sprint Car Control Council of Australia yet?
Not since. I think I sent it like a week not even a week after, to
Yeah.
them. And yeah, haven't heard back since that, except that I had to run this thing on my helmet. So I'm not sure where the insurance companies and all that sit with this. And there's debates on, does this thing really affect the helmet or whatnot? But it's not really about that. It's more about what the helmet manufacturer has homologated, and that's the spec that the helmets comes in, and that's what you're meant to be running it as. So I've seen some comments that I'm just shitty about it's on my painted helmet, but if I was worried about my painted helmet, I wouldn't be racing it on in the dirt on the speedway.
If you're a Supercars fan, you may have seen the helmet camera that Cam wore during the final 2022 race in Adelaide. I thought, with that being so recent, surely it's worth asking, how is that allowed to be used?
Yeah, so that camera has been running in Formula One. So if you ever watch Formula One, there's a few driver views, and that's the same camera which they use. So Supercars have been working in the background to try and get that into our series. And there's a few different ones around, but I think that's the only one that's been, FIA homologated.
Okay.
I think I got the helmet done around Bathurst, but didn't run it to Adelaide. But I had to send the helmet to Italy to get fitted by a professional.
Wow.
That's certified. It's not that hard to fit the thing, but you got to do it all through the right processes. So it's a homologated driver camera in the helmet, which I'm allowed to run.
Obviously, the Tozuda indicator isn't the first device used to provide information on impacts. So I made sure to ask Cam, what's used in Supercars?
So the Supercars have obviously Motec and a G sensor in it. So anytime we have a shunt or a crash, and it's over, I think it's 15 Gs, it automatically triggers a warning, which gets sent back to the medical staff and Supercars. So if you hit the fence at turn 8 or something at Adelaide and it's 24 Gs, they know about it straight away. And they do that for, if there is a big crash, they can send the medical car out straight away and get to you. Obviously, that's probably not that achievable running a full Motec system in a sprint car, but there is a FIA device which mounts on the seat, which reads the G impact and all those sorts of things. So there is other devices out there which we can use, and I think we should be trying to make this sport safer. I'm all for safety. Just needs to be done the right way.
With Cam having plenty of contacts around the motorsport world, I was interested to know if Cam had spoken with anyone from Supercars about the issue and what those people, if any, had to say.
No one from Supercars directly. I've spoken to a few team owners and stuff like that, just because they asked me about my post, and they can't really believe it. But I think Motorsport Australia probably need to get involved a little bit. I think there's an affiliation between Speedway Australia and them now. So you might see something like that happen down the track, but not really sure.
I've seen posts from Grant Anderson about, I'd say it's in relation to the helmet impact indicator that they're trying to implement. And also on your post, I think I saw comments from sprint car drivers and supercar driver Brody Kostecki and also James McFadden. Have you spoken to any other drivers directly? I know you've got a good relationship with a lot of drivers. Have you spoken about this device and what they think?
I've spoken to a few sprint car guys, a few drivers briefings. I've brought this topic up, and they've come up to me after and, shown them the letter and stuff like that. James sits in the same position as I am with it. And, Brady Kostecki, he agrees with me, but he's a bit of a shit stirrer as well. So I think he had a pretty funny comment on there. But, there's a few things which I think need to be looked at. The device itself have been going off randomly. So when I finally, had to put it on, otherwise I was going home. I actually dropped the thing, and it, dropped from probably a meter, and it went off. So I don't know how that was a 100 G impact, but I sure wasn't.
Does any of this turn you off racing a sprint car? Obviously, you have your full-time job with Tickford in supercars, and I'm sure sprint car racing is something that you do to enjoy. What is your take on that? Is it something that really turns you off and makes you think, hey, maybe I just shouldn't be here?
Yeah, 100%. I thought over Christmas about stopping racing sprint cars full stop just from this. I thought it's pretty silly and pretty black and white with the rules and with the helmet manufacturers and all that stuff. But I'll give the guys the opportunity to try and fix this. And if it doesn't, then we're definitely looking at pulling out or doing something else. I can go race my supercar, which keeps me busy enough. The only thing is I do love my speedway and my sprint cars and that stuff. And it'd be a shame to stop. I'm all for safety, so if they put these things on the seat and they'll continue to try and improve them, or got the the FIA one that's on the seat, or whatever it is, I'll be the first one to put my hand up to try these things to make the sport safer. Just has to be done the right way, and for me, it doesn't sit right how we're doing it, and I have to kind of say something, I think.